You don't need to give a box of chocolates. You need to give a box of chocolate sugar cookies. And that's what this set's all about. We're going to make 3 different colored icings. We're starting with the simplest because it is red. We need a very, very small amount. So you're gonna notice here that I only am making like maybe 2 tablespoons worth of this icing. That might be the smallest amount I've ever made for a set, and I still made too much. But that's because these 3 cookie designs we're going to make include a milk chocolate, a dark chocolate, and one of the cookies has a little red heart on them. And while we're making 3 different designs, it's going to make 6 different cookies in total because we alternate between a milk chocolate and a dark chocolate base. So next we're making the milk chocolate sugar cookie royal icing. I don't know why that was so hard for me to say. This is a royal icing and we're adding chocolate into it. So we're not using a brown because here at Iced.Kitchen I really try and use the primary colors. Brown's an especially hard color to make with the primary colors. I have not figured it out. But a really easy thing to do is to just use cocoa powder. And the plus side of it, especially for a set like this where we're making a literal box of chocolates, cookies, is you're going to have a chocolate taste because you're literally adding cocoa powder to it. It does change the consistency slightly and it changes the drying time. These are going to take more time to dry, but they are really tasty. I also decided, just giving you all the information, because I am not speeding through any of this. This is all real time. Look at that consistency. The question is, did I decide this was a milk chocolate enough color? And I believe the answer is no, and I go and grab some more cocoa powder. And I'm adding essentially a tablespoon at a time. I'm not officially measuring this. I literally have a spoon from my kitchen, and I'm like, yeah, sure, let's throw some more in there. So it's real scientific method here. And every single time I add cocoa powder, I am going to add water because the cocoa powder thickens this up. You can see how thicker it is, how much more thick it is. But with this royal icing, I usually do a lime. I really like citrus in royal icing. You will never catch me making just a straight vanilla royal icing. Now that I say that, I can think of like 20 instances of why I would, but most of the time I'm not doing that. And that's because the citrus cuts through the sweetness. And so I didn't do lime because that just didn't feel like it was very chocolatey. So I did orange on this one. And we made the milk chocolate. Now we're doing the dark chocolate. And the only difference I'm doing with the dark chocolate is literally just adding more cocoa powder to it. And for every single one of the colors in this set, I'm going for a hybrid consistency. What that means is that it can be used for the outline of my cookie, the outline of my designs, and it can also be used for the flood to fill in those outlines. Very cookie jargon-esque. But you have one consistency that can kind of do it all. The downside of using one consistency is it can be harder to get to the details of it all. But on a set like this, it's fine. I'm going to be real with you throughout this whole set. I do have spillage on cookies. I have some overflow cookies. I show you how I resolve that because all my cookies at the end look great. Now, you might be looking at this point and think, hey, that is darker than the milk chocolate. Kudos to you, YouTuber whose name I have forgotten because it's barely ever said. It's Cami, by the way. And when I was editing this video, I was like, yeah, that is darker. But apparently when I was making this video, I said, no, it's really not. Let's add some more chocolate, which I did. And I can't tell you if it tasted better. To be honest with you, I haven't eaten one of my cookies in 2 years because I can't have egg anymore. And that's a pretty heavy egg cookie with meringue powder because meringue powder is made from egg whites. One day I will make a entirely vegan one using aquafaba, which is chickpea water. The water in the can of chickpeas. But I haven't done that yet. I have used aquafaba in a macaron recipe and it turned out, I've done it a couple times, it turns out fantastic. I just haven't done it with my sugar cookies yet. Probably because I don't make royal icing from scratch. Let's compare again. Do we think this is dark enough? I think I do conclude it's dark enough. And with both of these, they both dry darker than you think they will. So I'm just making sure I have that 20-second icing. Here's all the icing I ended up with. 2 light, 2 dark, 1 red. And now we're gonna go to cutting the tips of our icing bags. I will tell you, through 4 or 5 different pairs of scissors before I could find one that wasn't leaving a scraggly end, and I'm so sorry that you really can't see anything in this video because of how the lighting is. I moved this past year and I have not figured out lighting in the new place. But after I cut it, I always test to make sure things are flowing well. Perfect. I have 100% had instances where I cut too big of a tip and I had to put all of the icing into a new bag. If that happens to you, just rebag it. You will be saving yourself giant headaches. I think I was always under the guise that, like, I'm saving money because I'm saving bags. Just buy more bags than you think you will ever need, and then you will never feel like you need to conserve bags. Uh, I did that by accidentally buying 250 bags when I already had 200 bags, and I'm finally getting to the end of them. I skipped over the other 2 that I needed to cut just so I could show you the red. I don't test this one by doing a line because the only thing I am going to be doing with this icing is making a heart. So I test it by making a heart. And every single time I cut these icing bags, I cut one angle and then I turn it 90 degrees and I cut it again. So I make sure that it's straight across all the way around. So now that we have all of our icing, we're gonna go straight into the first cookie design. This is where you're going to alternate colors. So I'm going to show you milk chocolate here. I recommend making a milk chocolate version of this and a dark chocolate version of this. And that's how it's going to go with every single cookie. If you see me make a milk chocolate, do a milk chocolate and do a dark chocolate. You alternate every single one of them. The other thing with this icing is it's going to be thicker. Even though we made it to a 15-20 second hybrid consistency where you run a knife through it and it takes about 15 to 20 seconds for that icing to settle, it is going to act that way and somehow be runnier and thicker at the same time. It's quite the enigma, if you ask me. And again, I'm really not going to cut much out of this process. I'm not going to speed up anything. Anytime I tell you I cut something, anytime I do cut something, I will tell you. And again, I have not sped up anything. This is the real time how I do it. Now, it's overflowing. I told you it was going to overflow and it's overflowing. I don't think I have this problem on the dark chocolate. I think it's particularly on the milk chocolate. But what I do is just take my scribe, scrape it right against, and I go and wipe it off on my paper towel. This is why I have a paper towel every single time I decorate. And then I came back here and I'm just gonna shove that icing into the middle a little bit. Let's take it away from the edges. Let's not have a heavy edge. Scrape it to the middle, and then I shake my cookie a little bit to kind of even it out. And it does even out very nicely on the milk chocolate, as you'll see in a moment when it's fully dry and I have a video, or yeah, a little video of it. And then we're gonna come in with the red. We're just piping a little heart shape. We're not trying to overcomplicate it. We're not trying to make too big of a heart. And I'm not trying to focus on points because we have a way to resolve it. First time through, my second arch was not it. So I came back, fixed it. I want to get that solid outline before I fill it. And we're not too concerned about being perfect here. We're making chocolate looking cookies, chocolate truffle looking cookies. I just want to make sure everything's filled in. And then I'm going to grab my scribe and kind of even things out. That's where I can pull it down a little to make that point. I'm going to wipe my scribe off and I can come down and pull at the top to make the divide between the two humps of the heart. Is that the right way to say it? More defined. And there it is. Beautiful cookie. Now we're going into the dark chocolate one. When I say dark chocolate, I mean this is going to be a second design that we're making out of dark chocolate. The dark chocolate is even thicker than the milk chocolate. You can tell I'm going very slow. You can also tell I did not change my camera angle for this set like I usually do to have it from the side, so you don't get a full shot of just my hand in the piping bag. But here we are. You also might be thinking, YouTube person, my name's Cami again, you are really not getting to the edge of that cookie. And it really does look that way, right? But unfortunately, I am. These cookies just spread a little bit in the oven. So the more I decorate it, the less it looks like I didn't go all the way to the edge. And I'm just very slowly filling this because, again, this is a thick icing. This is a thick dark chocolate. And I'm kind of glad I went in a swirl, which you will see at the end of this, because the lines still showed up. This is such a thick chocolate that even though we did everything we could to flatten it out, it still kind of shows the swirl pattern, and that's okay because we're making cookies. And even though they're little cookie works of art, they're still food and we're still going to eat them, and it's fine. So I'm coming in with my scribe, and I'm just anywhere where I didn't quite get to the edge, I'm kind of moving the icing where I need it to be. I'm going to use it to, if I needed to fill in any sections, if there's too many defined lines, go through that. And then I like to do the washing machine method, where I stick my scribe in the middle and I just shake it around in a circle, and it looks nice and flat. And we're going to come in with the opposite color. So if I was doing a milk chocolate cookie, I would do a dark chocolate lines, but I'm doing a dark chocolate cookie, so I'm doing milk chocolate lines. Again, make 2 of each of these with the alternating colors, and I'm just adding some light lines across. I saved one of the additional chocolate bags of each color to have a slightly smaller hole for these lines right here. You do not have to do that. It's just I had the opportunity to, so I did it. Lines, I find, are one of the hardest things. And a really big tip here is to not touch the tip of your icing bag to the cookie. Let the icing kind of fall out and hover over it. And the faster you think you can go, the more wiggly your line's going to be. I don't make the rules. And so here's our cookie. You can kind of see those lines. It's fine. It's a cookie. Now our third design, which again, you're going to make 2 of, a milk chocolate and a dark chocolate. I mean, you can make however you want, but you're alternating. That's what we're doing here. That's the point of this cookie set, because you don't want just one of the chocolates. You want to have multiple of them. So we're coming in with our milk chocolate. We did the outline, we're filling it. That's the base idea for all of these. They're all gonna have an outline, they're gonna be filled in, and then we're doing something on top. Now, when it came to the heart and the kind of truffle lines, we weren't too concerned about any sort of drying time in between. For this last one, you do want to wait a few minutes before you add the final decorations. But we're not there yet. I'm getting ahead of myself. We're going to even this out. I'm helping push the icing to my edge line. I like making these little circles. You do you, whatever makes sense for you. The little circles help me not push too much. And again, my icing is going to overflow a little bit. And even though I'm kind of pushing it to the middle, because I can see like, oh shoot, my icing is going to start overflowing, it still happens. And I'm going to be you can see a little bit of the perfectionism where you can see there was a little hump there. So I pushed the icing toward it and it's already overflowing. It's not even overflowing where you think it would overflow, where I just shoved more icing. But I'm just going to drag my scribe around the outside of it and wipe that off and keep doing that. And then I can take my scribe and push the icing a little bit into the center if I need to. And I'm always wiping the scribe off in between just to keep my cookie sides as clean as possible. And so I'm just keep going around until I'm not scraping off icing anymore. You'll know when you're working on your own cookie when you're kind of done. And sometimes you can just give up and be like, so what? My cookie's overflowing. My icing's overflowing. Who cares? This is a cookie. That's kind of the mantra. This is a cookie. So we wait for it to dry a little bit. These take longer to dry than any other cookies I've done, and it's gotta be because the cocoa's added. I haven't looked into the science. Anywho, we're adding just a squiggle on top. It doesn't have to be anything precise. And then there's our third and final cookie. So these are the 3 designs. You're gonna make 6 in total so that you can have a full box of chocolate that you can share with other people. You can make for a Valentine's event. You can have for your own Valentine. You can just enjoy for yourself because they're delicious cookies and you deserve it.